Vito Wrestling Podcast, Robin Lundberg, Gene Sherry, myself, Dave Sepperson. 4 straight nights of crazy wrestling, SmackDown, 2 nights of WrestleMania, last night's Raw. An unbelievable weekend of wrestling. You two are in the building for WrestleMania. Robin, I'll start with you. What was your overall takeaways of being there?
I mean, it was a once in a lifetime experience. I think you guys might have seen the photo that I put up with myself and Raj, but like every time I see that photo, I could tear up and cry because it's like the kind of thing that I know I'll never be able to capture again. Like I'll never live that moment again. And he came home. We drove home Sunday night, and when he came home from school yesterday, because he didn't go in the morning, but he went at 11 a.m. or something. And when he came home from school, I was like, yo, people are saying that might be the best WrestleMania ever. And he was like, wait, people are saying that? He's like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, is it? And I was like, do you want it to be the best WrestleMania ever? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, it was the best WrestleMania ever, dude. You went to the best WrestleMania ever. And like, he just lights up knowing that, I mean, look, you can argue, but it's certainly in the discussion and in the conversation. And we got there on Saturday. We went to WWE World, which was cool. We saw Randy Orton speak. We saw Undertaker signing autographs. And then we were in this dingy hotel. No disrespect to the hotel, but the people at the staff were very nice. But it was just like the cheapest possible thing, as close as we could get, just staying a night. So we went there to drop our stuff down and then go to the stadium on Saturday. And when we're going to the elevator, some dudes who were a little lit up, but thanks to them, they said, you guys might want to put some more clothes on. We were outside last night. It was mad cold. So we go back to the hotel, put another pair of socks on, layer up a little bit more, which really helped on Saturday night in retrospect, because it was, Gene was there on Sunday night, and it was nice on Sunday. It probably felt a little cold to you even on Sunday, but it was significantly colder on Saturday night than Sunday night. And that was one of the, things that is sort of memorable in a sense, because it was windy, and I think it took some of the noise out of the crowd. One, because your hands are in your pocket, and it's harder to clap. And two, because the wind is muting some of the noise. But nevertheless, Saturday was a ton of fun. I thought, the opening match between Becky and Rhea was a good way to set it off. I thought the ladder match was really good. And then I thought the final 2 matches were amazing. We'll get into all of that. And then Sunday was staggeringly good. The end, it had you could just feel that energy when the Cody Roman match was about to start. And it just, I mean, to have been there is one of those things. When you say like memory that lasts a lifetime, that's one.
Yeah. It's, I know we use this word legendary, epic, once in a lifetime, GOATs, those get thrown around a lot. But like, if someone wants to call this the best WrestleMania ever, I'm not arguing. Me and the lady, we got there Sunday, and yeah, from the moment we walked in, it's like, dog, this feels nice, man. This feels like we're about to get something special. And one thing I remember we talked a little bit about it before we started, like we see all the comments in WWE comments, how wrestling fans can be so toxic and evil, take shots at each other. I'll tell you this, being in that section, being in that crowd, everyone was just a WWE fan. People had the ones up for Roman. They would either boo Roman, boo Cody, but once the match started, everyone was kind of just one fan. And we can talk about the last 5 minutes of that match, last 10 minutes of that match is probably one of the greatest moments you'll ever see. But just being there, yeah, it felt like this is probably never going to happen again. So let's enjoy it. I had an incredible time. And to me, it kind of had me feeling like Endgame with the Avengers. It's kind of like, okay, this is a chapter that we might get some big moments after this, but it's really hard for me to foresee that we get another moment as big as what we got on Sunday night because of the way it was put together, because of how they just overbooked the hell out of it, but it was perfect. To me, this was something I'm going to cherish. And yeah, it was definitely worth it, man. And if someone wants to call it the greatest WrestleMania of all time, to me, it was the greatest WrestleMania moment. Those last 5 minutes to me, it was GOAT status. And that to me, it was everything.
To Gene's point about the fans, because we were in a section that I think was only sold as combo seats, everybody that was with us was there on Saturday and Sunday. So we had this like sort of like communal experience together, and you recognize and you knew, and to see everybody kind of appreciated, because Roman got a lot of love He got a lot of love and appreciation, even from the Cody fans, right? And Saturday, the acknowledgments were way up and all that. And Cody, obviously, everybody went crazy for. And then the Undertaker thing, I don't know if it's possible to bottle that feeling and that energy of all the things that happened. There were so many crazy things, but that gong and then the insanity that ensued right after it, you couldn't possibly capture what that felt like.
Yeah, I'll say watching it on TV, like it was a lot of wrestling, and you guys were there, so it's a different experience. And like you're watching so much, and you're so invested. In, like I watched the Hall of Fame, and that was incredible. And then night one, and I'm like, wow, that was a long show, but it really enjoyable. And then night two, you're like, man, I actually ended up, I think, liking night two maybe even more than night one, surprisingly. And I think it was just because that main event. By that point, I should have been out of wrestled out. Should have just been like, I'm done. I can't watch anymore. I was so invested, so hooked on everything. Every minute of that match felt special. The finish, as everyone's talked about, was incredible. When Cody won and his mom came in and he was I started crying. A legit tear rolled to my face. It was it was impossible not to feel that emotion through the screen, just being he did it. This guy's worked so hard for this moment. And it was just everything about it really did feel special. And I'm sure being there was incredible. And I've been to a few WrestleManias when I worked there. So I know the feeling, the buzz, and how exciting it is. I've never been just a fan. I've always been as an employee. So one day I do have to get to WrestleMania just as a fan to experience it in the crowd, because I'm sure it's going to be even better. But knowing the buzz and the energy of those buildings when you're there, I'm sure this one felt truly special. And as everyone said, one of the biggest of all time.
And the Cody Roman thing, what's interesting is I noticed this on Saturday night and it continued into Sunday. Those two have some sort of chemistry. In the ring, you go back to last WrestleMania, I thought that was an awesome match. I thought, I made a comment to somebody next to me during the match on Saturday night, the tag match, because the sections with Cody and Roman, I mean, it was great to see The Rock in there, of course, and all that stuff. But the sections of Cody and Roman, I was like, these two really know how to work together well. And then Sunday, I like the fact that they gave them, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes where it was a real match before the shenanigans ensued, so that they could put on a bona fide, excellent wrestling match where Roman's doing perfect plexes and crossroads and all that stuff. And Roman's really good at pacing, and communicating with the audience in the match. And then all the other stuff came after that. So, and when you mix in the Seth aspect, when we've texted about this a little bit, but that story, Cody finishes his story, but Roman, in a sense, his reign and story ending because he chose to get revenge on Seth rather than finishing Cody. It was beautiful. I don't think it could have been done any better.
It's funny, we've been talking about Cody Rhodes finishing his story, but it doesn't really feel like Cody Rhodes' story finished. It feels like Cody Rhodes' story just started. It felt like Roman Reigns' story kind of finished. And ultimately in a penultimate way is, I think, the word I'm looking for, where just Roman got what he deserved, and that's his due, because listen, I texted you guys this, it's been over 1,600 days or something, and they announced on Raw he wrestled 31 matches or 31 title defenses in that time, and I was like, that's mind-numbing. Only 31 times in that long is crazy. But even still saying that, it felt special. That bloodline storyline, all the moments that we got with Sami Zayn, with Roman, with Cody, with a lot of people all along the way, those peaks and valleys were truly special, and was one of those, we talk about eras of wrestling. The bloodline era will be a thing we always reference as a peak in wrestling. And so ultimately, Roman truly got his due. There's memes of him on the internet where he's smiling while he's getting pinned. He just he hugged Paul Heyman on the stage. That moment was just, and probably not meant for anybody but just the two of them, but seeing what they mean to each other, and you could hear it during Paul Heyman's Hall of Fame speech. Having 1 million people could have inducted Paul Heyman into the Hall of Fame. Having Roman Reigns be that guy showed you how much they mean to each other, shows the respect that Paul Heyman has for Roman Reigns as both a professional and as a human being. that was my bigger takeaway, because like now we get to like really enjoy like what Cody's going to do and dive in and tackle all these new feuds and stuff he's going to get. But the Roman stuff was just like it was nice to see everybody acknowledging him, even the on Raw, Cody giving him that promo acknowledging Roman Reigns. It just felt really nice to see him get,
and the crowd chanting "Thank you, Roman," right? Like,
yes,
I mean, yeah,
for sure, because he's supposed to be the bad guy, but everyone understands that they respect him.
Well, it does come full circle, because that's the same crowd that said "F you, Roman" after he won the Royal Rumble. So it's kind of like it did come full circle. He got his flowers, and he definitely deserves it. But it was time for it to end, and right now, Cody is that guy, and he did finish his story. So I guess my question right now is like, can he do it? That remains to be seen. But as far as him finishing the story, that was dope. But yeah, this was an incredible moment for both guys, and I don't think it's the last time, because I do agree with you, Robin. There's certain guys, when they get in the ring, they have chemistry, and I don't think it's the last time we're going to see these guys lock up, especially for that title. When we get there, we have no idea, but that was really good.
Well,
sorry, Robin, go.
When you referenced Endgame before, Gene, and that's, I think, the big challenge here, because post Endgame, Marvel has struggled to capture that energy. We'll see if they get it back with X-Men and all that stuff. But Cody finishing his story was great. Like, it's a celebration. People were celebrating in the stairwells. They're celebrating everywhere on the streets of Philadelphia. But where does Cody go from here? That, to me, is an interesting question, because I don't know. Is he built for that? Because everything about his character was about getting there. What about once you're actually there?
I'm gonna emphatically say yes. And Monday Night's Raw to me was like the reason I'm so confident now, because Triple H said in the post-match press conference, I don't know if you guys are driving and traveling home, so you might have seen it. He said the hardest thing in wrestling right now is to build a babyface. And he's like, Cody Rhodes is like the fact that like people he's beloved. You can see like even on the Raw after Mania, where you have those like fans who were just like, okay, we got what we wanted. Now we can like just hijack the show and boo Cody and do whatever we want. But no, like people truly are invested in Cody Rhodes. Like you could see when the production team put together that video for him and like what it meant to him. Like people want Cody Rhodes to now have this run. I don't think it'll be as long as a Roman Reigns, and that's okay. Even if he holds the title till SummerSlam to fight The Rock and he loses it to The Rock, like that'll be okay. The fact that Cody has been the guy and he's going to get however long this run's going to be, and there are a lot of people I want to see Cody Rhodes feud with. So like this could go for a while. We can get into all that. Like I'm not worried about it. Cody Rhodes proved that he is the guy.
I'm not worried about it, but there's a large audience that don't see him as that guy. And because Cody Rhodes, like if we're talking Star Wars, he's Luke Skywalker, but do we care about Luke Skywalker if there's no Darth Vader? You know what I mean? Like to me, Cody Rhodes is such a good guy, and this is a feel-good moment, but that can only last for so long. Are you going to tell me you're going to give him a video package every Monday night to get that feel-good moment? Like unless you put him with an ultra bad guy, because he is so good, it's gonna be tough, because Roman Reigns, it only made sense. You don't get a moment like Sunday night unless Cody's in the ring with an ultra super villain, with The Rock, with Roman Reigns, and all that. Shoot, you had to bring back John Cena and The Undertaker just to make it make sense. To me, I think WWE, I'm not gonna say it's a problem, but it's a big puzzle you have to figure out, because you could only do the happy-go-lucky, hey, we're so happy for you, Cody, because now you got to be the dude. And if Roman Reigns is gone for a while, we know The Rock's not going to be around for a while. I think they said Seth Rollins might be taking some time away. So who do you put in with such an over baby face? You're talking about one of the biggest baby faces ever. You need a supervillain to come in, and a believable one too. Like, and to me, that's an interesting puzzle WWE needs to figure out.
I'll throw two scenarios. Number one, I think the most interesting right off the bat could be turning Randy Orton heel and having Randy Orton and Cody feud, because they have a ton of history together. And then the obvious one, and I actually don't want it to happen just yet, I want him to have a mini feud before he gets to Cody, is Gunther. He dropped the IC title. It is time for Gunther to elevate to the next level. And quite frankly, I think Gunther should be the guy to beat Cody Rhodes and have him take the belt, and then you could have Cody chase that for a little while, because ultimately, I don't even know if Cody needs the title for when he fights The Rock. They've made that so personal, but they clearly probably want that title to be involved if Rock is going to hold it one more time, which it seems like he might.
I think he might at SummerSlam. I mean, they're setting up they're either SummerSlam or next year's WrestleMania. They're setting up a Rock Cody match clearly and obviously. But to Gene's point, Rock and Roman did a lot of the heavy lifting. Roman did the heavy lifting for 3.5 years, maybe 2.5 years and change. And then The Rock came in the last 6 months or whatever. But you know what I mean? Over a long period of time, they did the heavy lifting. And it's easy to look good opposite them. I mean, Rock made Cody look really good the last few weeks, beating him with the belt and all that stuff. And Seth, shouts to Seth because I know I certainly crapped on him a little bit as the lesser.
Oh, the world did. Oh, the world did. Oh, for sure.
But he earned, like, his part of that story was exceptional. And he belonged at the end. So I want to give him his credit for that. But I agree with Gunther. Gunther's one of them. The Randy idea is a good one. Other than that, I don't know if there's anybody on the roster that is up to the challenge. I mean, do they bring Sheamus back and have him attack Cody? I mean, does he have enough credibility right off the bat? I mean, those are the kind of characters that I think you need to go against Cody, because unless there's a daunting task on the other side, it's going to get old to hear him come out and say, "Thank you guys. This is the best moment of my life" all the time.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing with Cody. He's not – when you see a guy like Cody Rhodes standing across a guy like The Rock and Roman Reigns, he even with the belt, he looks like the underdog. So it's kind of like you can't build him as this unbeatable force the way you built the Roman Reigns. Like, hey, this guy can't be – like Cody looks like a guy you can potentially beat just standing across from him. So I like the Sheamus idea, actually, because even though Cody has the belt, you bring in a brawling Irish brute like Sheamus standing across from him. I was like, okay, Cody, you have to overcome this. Like, you have, even with the belt, you got to give Cody, how they got to book him is he has to overcome this guy who's coming to take him out. Because I don't think they can build him the other way where the guy has to come out and take Cody. He's played the role of the underdog, so to speak. So I think I love the Sheamus and Randy Orton idea, because those guys can come in and just the look of them and the way they're able to give promos makes it look like Cody. You have to give fans a reason why you're the champ. And I think that, to me, I like both those options, honestly.
Well, there's a rumor that one of them, another member of the Bloodline, could be joining WWE. It sounds like Jacob Fatu signed with WWE. So, like, if you bring him out on Thursday, and then you have Cody come out and, like, do his whole spiel that he kind of started on Friday, and introduce him as like, hey, I'm also the family, and like, if you thought
you just got to beat him up, no words, just jump him, just beat him up.
But they expect you to be like, hey, if you thought the Bloodline was over, like, there's a lot of us. This story ain't over. Like, we're coming for you. I don't know if people would be super into that, because it kind of like continues something we've already seen, but with somebody new. So I don't know, but there's new ways. And like, I look at like when John Cena was champion, like they built up guys like Kozlov and Umaga and Rusev like quickly to become these monster heels to feed to Cena. Like, there's always a way to build a heel. Like, that to me is like the easier part. It's building a babyface. It's always tougher. So like,
aside from Umaga, those other guys didn't do nothing for me.
I don't think that's enough. I don't think he has enough credibility right off the bat. He has to do something. Like, Sheamus has the credibility because of his career.
I love the Orton idea.
Obviously, Randy has that credibility. But this is the challenge for Triple H.
But that's the best part, is like, we gave Triple H, and he got a ton of respect this weekend from everybody. And I think it's like we've come to this realization now where, like, Triple H loves pro wrestling. When I worked at WWE, like, one of the things we would always say backstage was like, one day Vince will be gone and Triple H is going to take over, and it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to this place. Because like, anyone who worked there, who worked with Triple H, knows like he loves this business, and like he treated everyone really well backstage. Like, he is respected by everybody. And I didn't have the kind of relationship where I like knew him one-on-one, but I worked with him plenty of times, and he was always very like respectful and nice to all the crew, myself included. So like, I know, like, now that we're here and we're finally seeing it, even if it's not the way everyone kind of thought it was going to go, whatever, he's the guy with the pen, and like, he is doing what I think a lot of people have always wanted to see from pro wrestling. And so that is like just exciting. And ultimately, like, I trust him. He knows what he's doing. He's lived through all these eras of wrestling. And what's old is new. He'll pull some stuff from, WCW, WCCW, like promotions that we haven't even thought about, and he'll be like, oh, this was so cool when I was a kid. Let's turn it around and do something new. Like, I trust his knowledge to be able to like take this and move it forward. And if the Cody as champion thing becomes stale, or people are starting to be like, it's not what we want, they'll pivot. They'll figure it out. Like, and they have, and we talked about this a lot. They have a lot of talent on the roster to give the ball to. It doesn't, and Cody's
hold on. Here's my question: do they though? Do they?
Yes.
Like, you just lost a heavy hitter, at least for the foreseeable future. You didn't just lose. You lost some starters right now. Like, if you're telling me you're gonna give the ball, like, that's my question: who do you give it to?
You lost
Right
Iron Man and Captain America. Right? I mean, not the good guys, but you lost Iron Man and Captain America from the Marvel Universe. Yeah.
Sure,
essentially. So, are you going to give the ball to Ant-Man, or are you going to give it?
But okay, here's a great example. I've crapped on LA Knight forever, and you guys would if Robin especially was LA Knight's is huge over a superstar, Jey Uso, massive over. There are a lot of guys that you can now use the airtime that you were giving to a Rock, giving to a Rollins, build them up. You know what I mean? Punk's coming back soon. McIntyre. We don't know how long Rollins has gotten. Maybe he's only gone for a little bit. Maybe he comes back. We don't even know what's happening there. AJ Styles is still there. Nakamura. There are a lot of pieces on the board that can be used, even if they haven't been positioned in the same sense of champion level guys. It only takes a few weeks of television to boost someone to that spot. We've seen it happen 1,000 times in our lives.
I'll just say this real quick. I was, as someone who I know y'all see me as a Roman Reigns hater or whatever, but I will say this: during his absence, I think we're going to see a lot of fans, maybe myself included, who will appreciate his absence because he's had the ball for so long. So it's kind of all right, if you guys want it, we're going to really see. I think Roman Reigns, we're going to see him in a much better light now that he's not champion. And regardless of what he does when he comes back. But yeah, the fact that the ball is going to be passed to someone else is going to be passed to Cody, but you also got to pass the ball to the next heel. We're really going to look back and be okay, this guy was really the real deal.
When Roman returns, that's going to be one of the all-time great moments. That's going to be hysteria when that music hits and he makes his return in whatever version he does return in. The other aspect that you have to remember is how big the women are now. And I think that's something they need to lean into with the absence of Roman and Rock, because Rhea, whatever you guys say, Rhea's a superstar. Bianca is a superstar. They're building Jade up as a monster. So I think in order to make up for the loss of some of these heavy hitters on the men's side, you obviously have to figure out what you're doing with Cody and who his foil is going to be. But I think you also then begin presenting the women as if they are on the same level as the men, and they are at this point.
And that doesn't include Charlotte Flair, who's coming back soon too. Yeah. What I mean? There are a ton of people.
We didn't even talk about it, but the draft is coming up. So this is a nice reset where you can kind of start mixing and matching where these feuds are going to be. So that's probably going to be one of the more important drafts. I'm sure they're lining up all the potential storylines, but that draft has never been more needed than a time like right now, to be honest with you. So I'm expecting Raw to kind of just go through the motions these next couple weeks. But once that draft hits, I think we're about to see some magic.
I do wonder what you guys think will be the future for Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. For me, for Roman, I guess you could kind of have him go away for a while until Cody and Rock do their thing, and then eventually have him come out to fight the Rock, because that's clearly the next move for Roman is Roman Rock. Other than that, there's nobody I'm dying to see Roman fight.
Roman Punk, I think, has super energy. When Punk came back and cut that promo and he mentioned Roman Reigns, crowd went nuts. So I think Roman Gunther is a huge match. There's a lot of, and I think Roman could come back as a face now. The way that Stone Cold and The Rock were face, not like a baby face, but the good guy version of the tribal
cool Roman face.
Yeah, exactly, in a sense. So I mean, I think you're underselling. Roman against anybody is a big match, essentially, and.
It is, but do you want to see him fight somebody else more than you want to see him fight The Rock?
Sure. Here's my thing. We got the graphic up right here. Roman Seth makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Seth
exactly. You're right, Gene.
I'm we're looking at the obvious right here. Roman Seth literally cost the man the championship.
That would be a great SummerSlam match.
The man dyed his hair to get into Roman's head, man. He cost him the title. If I'm Roman, as soon as Seth comes back, it's on site. I'm coming after you and I'm breaking you. You know what I mean? To me, that story, these two guys, they've kind of been, they have so much history, probably the most history as far as current wrestlers. Roman Seth, SummerSlam, dog, I'm going to take care of you. Then I'm going to go after my title, because unless I can because we forget, Roman has never beaten Seth Rollins ever. Like every one-on-one match, Seth has gotten the better of him either by a disqualification win or by pinfall. Roman has never gotten over, never beaten Seth Rollins. So to me, SummerSlam, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, that's money. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind that WrestleMania, but I know they got plans for that. But Seth Rollins cost Roman Reigns the title last night, like as much as what Cody did. But that, to me, that's the story. That's the obvious pick.
And I love the fact that something cost Roman too, rather than him just like losing clean. I mean, he lost clean, but you know what I mean.
He lost clean, but this was a smart way to do it.
Exactly.
He lost clean, but it was his doing that cost him clean.
And he's advertised for SummerSlam, so I think that. So I think they could do Cody and Rock and Seth and Roman at SummerSlam, and that's already like a rocket ship.
Yeah,
you don't need nothing else after that. You good. You Gucci.
Drew and Punk too.
Honestly, yeah, you might get Drew and Punk before that, but if that's where we're going, man, and that's your top 3 main event matches for SummerSlam, that's going to be the biggest SummerSlam of all time.
That's going to be. They're in a stadium. They're in a stadium. It's another stadium event.
They're going to Cleveland. That's true.
My goodness.
And now, all right, we already know the answer from Gene. This is gonna be a definitive yes. But was this the best version of The Rock we saw? He said he's going away for a little bit. Like, is this your ultimate Rock for you?
No, it actually isn't. It isn't my favorite Rock. It's not. 2001 Rock, 2000 heading into WrestleMania 17, babyface Rock. That to me, he was the more comical, serious. But I will say that this is number 2. This number 2 Rock, and I was gonna put him at number 3 until I saw him perform on Saturday. I was like, I can't put him top 1 or top 2 until I see him actually wrestle. And what he and Roman did on Saturday, they put on a classic 45 minutes. But this version of The Rock, to me, is one of the best heels ever. Not even just his version, and it just shows he's the GOAT. This solidified. I already thought he was a GOAT already, but after what he's been able to do, you don't get a WrestleMania moment the way we had unless you have a super villain or superstar, an icon, a legend. The most electric. He's got so many nicknames. This to me is the second greatest Rock of all time and arguably the greatest heel of all time. And to me, with a guy with his resume, I got no words, man. It was so nice seeing him. The fact that I got to see The Rock bottom Cena at WrestleMania, I'm good, man. The fact I got that ingrained in my memory for life. I don't need nothing else. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing that makes me appreciate this version of The Rock so much is, number one, I didn't think we'd ever see The Rock come back for an actual run, right? Like I hear the wave or whatever, but to actually be involved in an angle and a storyline and be on television for consecutive weeks, I didn't think we'd ever see that again. And then if I'm being real, as somebody who was, like Gene, a huge Rock fan, Austin and then The Rock, like that was it. That was the coolest thing in the world. I thought he was a little stale. The last however many times I'd seen him when he would come out and just do the Rudy Poo, like the catchphrases and it's like, all right, dude, we get it. Like, and the energy that was captured by this Cody movement and the bloodline story and all the factors that came together, him being on the board and the way that set up naturally this character, it was the ultimate response. And he showed why he's the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, because he was able to harness that energy and put it out there.
I will say, and this might be a cop-out, this is my most entertaining version of Rock that I've ever seen. I've never been more entertained by him than this. For me, the best version will always be Nation of Domination Rock, like him and Farouk and like IC title and like elevating himself. That moment in time was when I was the most invested in wrestling as a kid. So like that's where when I envision The Rock in my brain, like that's what I see. So like that will always be my favorite and best version. But this, hands down, the most entertaining version. The way he changed himself around was incredible.
Real quick, while we're doing this, I just saw this pop up online. So breaking news, in a sense, Roman Reigns has broken his silence. Let's all watch this together for the first time.
Can we hear it?
That was it. The text, he doesn't say anything. The text on the tweet says, "Yesterday I mourned, today is day one."
Well, I'll say this. Physically speaking, he looked like he was in the best shape of his life. It didn't look like when he walked out, I was like, dog, is he really about to lose the title? Looking like he looks like he was ready for another 1,000 days with that championship. So it seems like if this is day one, then the man's ready he's ready for vengeance. And that was cool, I guess. He didn't say nothing, but actions speak louder than words, man.
Well, Triple H did say on the press conference as well, like, this is not the last you're going to see a Roman Reigns. I know everyone was speculating, like, will he be gone? Like, he said, like, whatever the next story for Roman is going to blow people's minds. So, like, whatever they have planned for him, I'm sure it's going to be incredible.
Well, maybe he's not going. Maybe we're just assuming he's going away because he had been away so much during the run. But I think people lose sight of it. And maybe when we go back and look, part of the reason he was away is because how long he had the title, right? Like, and there's only so much you can do over that time period, but he was so good for business. The story was so captivating. And then it made every appearance from him feel like a big deal. Now that title is gone and on Cody, and there's a fresh start for Roman, I'm not saying he'll be there every single week, but maybe we're, jumping to conclusions by saying he's just going to be gone and disappear for a long time because we've seen him gone in the meantime. Perhaps this is a new incarnation that's starting immediately.
In my opinion, yeah, he gets a fresh slate right now. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't Roman. Roman with the title is different than Roman without the title. So whatever happens from this point on, like, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt at this point because, he's earned it. He's earned it.
Well, someone we know is going to be around a lot is Damian Priest. He won the World Heavyweight Championship. Were you guys happy with what they just did there after Drew won the title and then giving it to him? Like, where do you see him going?
I thought it was great. I thought it was great because it gave Drew his moment, and Drew has earned that moment, and everybody recognized Drew, and you even saw, I think, Seth say and the crowd was chanting in my section, "You deserve it." Mm-hmm. Then it got Punk involved because I remember saying to the people next to me, and this will be funny when the AEW segment comes up because we saw that Drew and Seth was opening, and I was like, oh, Punk's going to have the first entrance of the night then, because I knew he was on commentary, and the woman next to me was like, yeah, I love CM Punk. And then I was like, are you going to watch them air the footage on AEW? And she's like, what's that? She had no idea about, and then she was like, was that a story? I was like, no, it's real. It's why he's in WWE. And I set the table for her, but she had no concept of CM Punk in AEW. And CM Punk gets involved in there, and that tells the story of him and Drew. And then Damian Priest cashes in at an opportune moment and gets to hold the title next to Rhea Ripley and all of a sudden feel bigger. So we'll see exactly how it unfolds. Jey Uso won the match last night, right, to get the first crack at him. And Jey Uso could not be more over. So I'm not sure they don't put it right on him. We'll see. But I think it was done spectacularly well.
Seeing that live, being there live, yeah, the moment was dope. Watching it on Raw last night, I don't know if I buy Damian Priest as a champ, man. I'm sorry. Like Cody, seeing Cody with the title, and then you got Damian Priest come right after. I was like, this does not feel the same, man. This doesn't feel the same. That title was already feeling a little secondary, and now you give it to a dude who hasn't really done anything as a singles competitor, and now you're trying to elevate him, and I see what they're doing, putting him next to Rhea, trying to get the Rhea love on Damian Priest to make him feel more legit. But to me, I don't see Damian Priest as that dude. Beating Jey Uso, I don't think Jey Uso, to me, give the title to Jey at this point. You know what I mean? He's so over. Just give it to him. But yeah, Damian Priest, I'm still not buying it, man. The moment was cool. The moment was dope, but that's all it was. I think Drew McIntyre would have done way more for that title than what Damian Priest is about to do with it. That's
exactly where I am, Gene, because I agree with you 100%. I don't think they booked Damian as a solo guy. He was in a tag team for so long with Finn that you were kind of like, like if they were going to make him this star, they should have had them drop the tag titles a while ago so you could have Damian Priest on a trajectory as a solo guy. Build him up. He's just, for me, I don't know. You guys probably disagree. I'm kind of like, Judgment Day is not like something where I'm like, ooh, Judgment Day, got to turn on the television. Like,
it's real.
I love Rhea Ripley.
Well, Rhea is for me. So, Rhea is for me.
The rest of them just kind of like, they've done this for a while where I'm kind of like, change it up a little bit. Give me something new.
But sometimes the moment is enough. Right? Like, it doesn't have to be because, look, what if Jey Uso beats him, all of a sudden you got Jey Uso. And so what did that do? It furthered the CM Punk, that was more about CM Punk and Drew McIntyre than it was Damian Priest. Damian Priest was just the vehicle to get that done because he had the briefcase.
Well, what does that do for that title? It doesn't elevate the title, which is ultimately what these guys are here for, right? So to me, like, yeah, you gave Damian Priest, but you gave Damian Priest the belt, but it was at the expense of the prestige of that championship. Because if you're telling me Jey Uso versus Damian Priest, to me, still, even if the title's on the line, doesn't feel bigger than a Drew McIntyre CM Punk match. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if the title was on Drew and Punk is like, okay, I'm coming to end your story kind of thing. To me, that would have been way bigger, but it kind of, to me, it didn't hit the night after. In the moment when he did it, okay, cool, that was dope. We get to see a cash in. That was dope. But
here's
to me,
here's where I'm at with that match, because I don't know about you guys. Jey Uso is over, but that solo match against his brother
was horrible.
Not good. And it was just too many super kicks for them to have had that kind of build where I was so excited to watch them beat the crap out of each other. And it just, that match really fell flat for me. So, like, this is a big match for Jey, because I've been on record and I love the Usos, but I've said I've always kind of seen them as a tag team. If he doesn't have a great match against Damian Priest, and we know Damian Priest can have one because he had one against Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico. If Jey doesn't have one, that's going to be a bad look for Jey. Like, this needs to be a big feud and a big time match for both these guys.
Well, Jey is Yeet. Oh, the crowd was chanting, like, or in my section, because like talking about too many super kicks. I mean, was that more Jey or more Jimmy though? I mean, Jimmy is not on the level of Jey, but I mean, I agree with you. Jey's had very good solo matches in the past, so it's not like that's the first solo match he ever had.
Well, those guys have the same exact moveset, so they have the same moveset, so it's kind of like, dang, like you're kind of seeing the same thing twice. But also with Jey and Jimmy, for that matter, their best matches are matches where they have stipulations. Like, remember when it was the tribal combat with Jey and Roman? That was a decent, dope match because he can get ladders and go Uso crazy, tables, chairs. That's Jey at its peak, which is why I was surprised they booked the one-on-one match as just a straight-up one-on-one match. If you had told me this was going to be a street fight, I think we would have seen a much better match. But as just straight-up competitors, one-on-one, I think Jey and Priest, they have to put a stipulation there. Because, yeah, granted, Priest had a great match with Bad Bunny, but that match had no rules, and they were just going crazy. Jey, but I do agree with you, Seth. I think this is an important moment for him to put on a show, because right now his stock as far as a wrestler, it dropped as far as his performance. But he is over, and we'll see what happens.
Well, another match I teased last night on Raw, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. I'm going to keep this one quick from my point of view. Natural progression with the two of them. Excited to see this match. I still don't think Rhea's dropping that title anytime soon, so this is just going to ultimately be another notch on the belt.
Yeah, I think, well, look, Liv has that organic support, which is good. She's a credible opponent. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think Rhea loses until Jade or Bianca. I think one of those or two is going to be the one that takes the title off of Rhea ultimately, because to me, those are the biggest money matches in the bank for the women's division. I mean, they opened WrestleMania with Rhea for a reason. You know, like she is a superstar. I would say outside of Cody Rhodes. Well, if Roman's still here, it's Roman. But Rhea's right there, top 3 in the company right now. And I think that Jade and Bianca are the natural selection when it comes to ultimately dethroning her.
Well, here's the thing. She is so over, which is why she can afford an L. Like, I could see Liv taking the title to build another star. You can't just have Rhea run through the roster for another year. It's going to get old quick. I could see her and Liv kind of trading that title back and forth for a couple months. So by the time she does get to Bianca, she's battle tested. It's just going to make her character feel more believable as far as that. And I think Liv Morgan's a perfect competitor because she has a natural. To me, she's great in the ring. I think her and Rhea, especially with the size difference, they could put on a really cool matchup. And I think Rhea could afford to take a quick L, maybe not a long L, but like if Liv beats Rhea, you get another great moment for the women's division. We haven't really seen, like, I know we got the Bayley moment on Sunday. That was cool, but there hasn't really been enough of those moments. I could see Liv beating Rhea winning it back just in time for the Royal Rumble time and to get ready for a Bianca Charlotte. I don't think Jade's ready at all. Honestly, I think she's about a couple years away before she gets into a ring with someone with the skill set of Rhea Ripley. But I could see Rhea and Liv having a really good feud because she hasn't had a really good feud yet, Rhea Ripley, and I think this is the one for it.
All right, and finally, we saw an announcement last week, which I thought was a joke at first. AEW is supposedly going to air the backstage footage from All In with Jack Perry and CM Punk from my point of view, I don't know why they're doing this. This makes no sense. And like, if they're upset because of what Punk said, like, what is this? What does this benefit besides maybe popping a rating? You're not leading to a Jack Perry versus CM Punk feud. It looks to me a little bit childish and immature. Like, he got fired. Everybody should move on. Like, Punk said what he said. You guys can have a retort, but like showing footage that's going to go nowhere to just maybe try and make Punk look bad, which ultimately is probably just going to have him choking out Jack Perry and probably looking better. Like, it just, to me, I don't know. I don't see the upside here.
Well, I mean, I guess if I'm taking their defense, the upside is more people are probably going to watch this episode of Dynamite than have watched almost every episode of Dynamite. And if the rest of the show is strong, then you bring them in and you keep them around and you sell them on the product. That is, to me, the best spin. I mean, I fundamentally agree with most of what you're saying. And CM Punk is the biggest star in AEW. I mean, that's the problem in a sense, because I've already thought they were too sensitive to that interview because it was old news. Like, he was on a talk show. He got asked about it. He answered. And Punk, he's gonna let it rip. He let it rip, and that moment would have been gone a day later. I didn't think they needed to address it at all on the subsequent. That they had been doing pretty well. They had captured some momentum back. Obviously, they'd signed the free agents that they signed. I would have just kept it pushing. Then it starts to look like an obsession, and it lowers the Young Bucks. I mean, they look like side characters in a sense in all this. So, I mean, I think we all have a curiosity to see it. I guess they're trying to say, it'll contradict what Punk said, but to spend weeks responding to a podcast interview, the biggest moment in AEW history remains when CM Punk debuted. That's the biggest moment in the company history. He's had the most juice of anyone who's ever appeared on their screens. And this is the reason he's no longer there and he's in WWE. And I mean, I'm glad I get to see it, I guess, but I don't know how much it benefits them in the long run.
I don't think it benefits them at all. I had no problem with Edge defending the company. It is what it is. The guy tried to bury you on a national podcast. You come out, you defend your company, keep it pushing. This right here, I have no idea why they're doing it. One, if I'm a superstar in their locker room, so you mean to tell me like you got footage in the back end that you could just release after I leave to make me look bad to better up the company? Like, you kind of the ops. To me, like, my trust meter, if I'm a wrestler, an AEW wrestler, goes way down because we know Punk, he said it on the interview, he has a lot of friends in that locker room. So now you're trying to make him look bad by sharing footage that no one should ever see. Let's be real. We shouldn't be seeing this footage. This footage that they're about to air on national television should not be seen. Like, this on some Draymond, Jordan Poole level of footage we might be seeing right now. As a fan, yeah, that's cool, but I don't know how that helps your culture. And you're also bringing attention to a dude who's no longer there. And so, but if the footage is Punk choking out Jack Perry, it does. I don't know what you mean.
It might benefit
WWE. Why am I watching these guys? This dude just choked out one of your guys.
It might benefit Drew McIntyre. He's going to use it on social media. You know that, right?
Oh my God. Drew is literally going to be looking at this stuff, man. You're bringing attention to another company at this point. I don't mind what Edge did, but this is a different level of, I don't even know if petty's the word, because we've never seen anything like this. We're going to air unreleased footage of a backstage brawl. Like, we're going to see, like, this is crazy. As a fan, it's cool, but, and it's a one pop. All right, you're trying to win this week. You're not going to win this week. So week after WrestleMania, you're not going to, I don't care what footage you're releasing. You're not going to win. I have no idea what Tony Khan is thinking. I will be watching though. I'll be watching.
I was already going to watch Dynamite. I'm a fan. We all know this. So like, I don't need to see it. Listen, I'm still intrigued by it for sure. I'm going to watch it and we'll talk about it. But like, from my point of view, focus on the company, focus on all the positive things you have going on. Swerve, Joe, all these incredible things. That's where they should be putting their efforts. But that is an episode for Robin Lundberg, Gene Sherry, Dave Jefferson. Thank you all for listening to Neil Wrestling. We'll see you guys soon.